That makes sense, because think about it. The advice that we have here, that's what leads to the future, what we need to do, or what we need to address to get to this future energy. Because no future just happens, right? There's never a wait and see energy. And this is the completion of a cycle, and that's stepping out into a new one. And we have beginning energy coming in, but it feels like we're wrapping up something here. So we have the King of Cups coming up as your underlying energy. And it's kind of strange because I think and I shuffle the cards like crazy in between. I clear them. I do all sorts of stuff to them in between videos, just to remove the energy or the influence of whatever the sign was before. But everyone's been getting a lot of cups. So we have the King of Cups here. So Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio energy. This is your energy. And I always say that when a court card comes up as an underlying energy, I read it as the energy of the person that I'm reading for, the people that I'm reading for here. But it is a general reading. So I trust that you will know whether it's your story or whether it's to deepen your understanding of another story that's coming in, right? If someone's central to your story. So what's the King of Cups like? Well, he's a king. So he has mastery over his suit. He has mastery over his emotions. What does that mean? It means he knows exactly how he feels. He is very, that emotional intelligence. He has it. But what does that mean? It means he's not controlled by his emotions. And so when the King of Cups, when he feels something, he doesn't always say how he feels. He will contemplate. He's going to sit with it. He's going to know, okay, well, I feel like this. What am I going to do with this? So we have that King of Cups coming up. And it's kind of strange because I know the kings are the fixed signs. So this is Scorpio, but that's very Pisces. I think Pisces, and I was talking to a Pisces about this actually over the weekend. And I said this, that Pisces can get very logical, very when they get very emotional. And I've said this before, I don't like when people say emotional and they use it as a derogatory term. Emotional just means emotions. Having emotions is not a weakness. And so I don't do that whole kind of, Pisces is so emotional thing. Of course, people treat their emotions in different ways. But with the King of Cups coming up here is very telling. This is full understanding of how you feel. And I think what's coming up now is what you do with that emotion. What do you do with that? Where are you going to take that? How do you act on this? And we have the Ace of Cups coming up as your focus. And this is, for some of you, it's I want to feel a new way. Or you have a clear idea and understanding of what your happiness looks like, of the cycle that you'd like to enter. Because we go from the Ace of Cups to the 10, right? So that's from our cup, how we feel. And we take our cup forward. And we get to the 10, which is the happily ever after. The dream, the end game, the goal of how we want to feel. But what I love about this energy here is with the King of Cups and the Ace of Cups coming up, this is being very aware of what is in your cup, what your love is worth, how you feel. Now, it doesn't have to be as much as, that can be very beautiful energy. And the Ace of Cups is beautiful energy. It is beautiful energy. But we have the Four of Cups here, and the Ace of Cups actually makes an appearance in this card as well. So it's almost like you know how you want to feel. You know how you want to go forward. You know what your happiness looks like, but you don't see a path to it. Do you see what I mean? You know what's in your cup, but you don't know how to go about getting that big love, whether that's big love for your career, big love in romance, big love for your family, whatever it is. You don't know how to proceed, how to take up this opportunity that's coming up here. Now, in the past, we have the Eight of Swords. It's very telling. This is our fears. This is our doubts. It's feeling trapped. There's nothing I can do. In fact, you have two cards that talk about feeling very stuck. Nothing I can do. That's what both of these cards say very clearly. Past and the present. But in the past, swords are our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas, and how we communicate them, right? So this is very much, I'm stuck. And it can be thoughts like, I'm too old for this. I'm too young for this. I'm too poor for this, or I'm too busy for this, whatever. But they're just thoughts. And I say just thoughts. They're never just thoughts. We are the stories that we tell. That's why I would say be very mindful of the stories that you tell yourself, because that is your truth. That is the story that we're writing about ourselves. And if we have a look at her, she's blindfolded, so she doesn't really see things clearly. And she's tied up, and so she feels like she can't move. But they're just a bunch of birds holding the bindings. If she struggled, I'm sure they'd let go. They're no match for her strength. One of her arms is free there. And then the swords around her, they're spaced out. She could walk through them. So these are fears and doubts that, that it's the inner saboteur. Now, I do believe even our fears serve us. Our fears are there. Every emotion serves us. I'm a big believer in this. But our fears are there to keep us safe. That's why we get to, I mean, it's something that we developed, and I've talked about this so many times, so I won't go into it. But as human beings, we have developed this as the fight or flight defense, to know when to run, and it keeps us safe, right? But we don't have those kind of life-threatening situations now, very rarely, that our ancestors did, but we still have that within us. And so whenever we feel fears, they're trying to keep us safe from some perceived danger, whether there is one or not. But I kind of feel like you understand this now. You understand this. This is very much being in your headspace, trying to reason something out. But whatever logic or reason you were using, it did come from a place of trying to keep you safe from a fear. And it's saying that, I can't do anything. But you have the King of Cups here. So he knows now. You've got King energy coming in. It's understanding how you feel. So I feel like this is a past energy. It is, obviously, it's coming up in the past position, but it's the foundation. It's the foundation, but you're still feeling stuck. What's the problem now? If you've overcome the fears or the thoughts and you're tapping more into your emotional self, what's the problem? We have the Four of Cups here. This is stuck. This is feeling stuck. Now think about it. This person always rejects. And usually the person is sitting there staring at 3 cups, looking very nonplussed. She doesn't look that thrilled either. She doesn't want those 3 cups. She's turned her back on them, which is great. They don't serve her. And I would always tell everyone that. The options that you're considering in the 4 of Cups, they don't do anything for you. It's like trying to make a square peg fit in a round hole. That's what I always say. Why would you do that to yourself? You deserve more, right? You want the Ace of Cups. You want that magical cup, and yet you don't see it. Look at her, the way she's looking down at the pond. From her perspective, all she sees are 4 flowers. Yeah, that one might look like a bigger flower than the rest, but she doesn't realize that the cup that she seeks, the one that is different from the 3 that she's rejected, it's right in front of her. So a change in perspective is needed here. If she stood up, if she went to the side a little bit, she'd see that, oh my God, there's a cup. The cup that I seek is right there in front of me. That is very frustrating, obviously. If I'm telling you, hey, the cup that you seek's in front of you, you're like, where is it? I don't see it. I don't see it. In a way, first you didn't allow yourself to see it. Now, I'm not saying this is someone handing you a cup. When I talk about aces, I always say that's your cup. So it's almost as if this kept you safe from understanding how you felt. Now you know how you feel. So now you know how you feel, you know how to recognize that cup. That's what's kind of coming in now. And that's what the main energy of this week is. Understanding how you feel so you know which cup to look for. Because I think in the past, she's blindfolded here, right? She didn't know what to look for. That's all internal chatter. Now you're looking around yourself and saying, okay, where's the expression of how I feel outside of me? If I know what my Ace of Cups looks like, where is it? Where do I take this? How do I begin this cycle? So the key factor here, and this is coming up for everyone, is how do I feel? How do I feel? What do I do with that? When you get in touch with, the kinds of things that's coming up, because that's very easy to say, how do I feel? What do I mean by that? What's your love worth? And whatever you love, right? What's your own worth? How do you love yourself? Every great love story, romantic story even, it begins with how we love ourselves, because we teach other people how to love us by how we love ourselves. And everyone's been getting this coming up. What do you deserve? What do you deserve? What's in your cup? Is there self-worth in this cup? Is there self-love, self-care? I know what I'm worth. I know the kind of love that I deserve. I know the kind of happiness and fulfillment I deserve from my work, from my family, from my friends, from my lovers. That's the energy. And you have the emotional knowledge now. That's the amazing thing this week. Now it's about figuring it out around you, like seeing which direction to take your cup, almost is how I'm seeing this. But you are coming out of that stuck energy. I like that about this. Now, once you figure out how you feel, once you figure out what's in your cup, this new cycle, and I believe, with the Ace of Swords, we always say there's a new truth, victory through clarity and the truth with the Ace of Swords. We have a new truth, a new perspective that's kind of freeing us, and we can go forward now, stepping into a new cycle. It's the same for you, but at an emotional level. And when you know that, when you know what your happiness looks like, what your love looks like, what all of that beautiful, positive, emotional stuff that's in this cup looks like, it allows you to take a leap of faith. Now, I want to just talk about the advice, and then I'm going to get back to the Fool in just a moment. So the advice is the world, and the world is telling you there's a cycle that has completed in your life. This is a victory card. It's victory because it says you have successfully completed a cycle. And I say this every time this card comes up. I read for clients, and on Skype you'll see them sometimes, and they say, Jay, no, I haven't succeeded at anything. You know, I'm left with nothing. And it's like, yes, you have. Because it's the card for Saturn. It's the lessons that we needed to learn, the opportunities that we had to go through. Whatever was needed out of that cycle, it's done, it's gone, it's finished. And yes, this person sat on top of the world. And that is interesting. They're in a lotus flower as well. But what it's telling you is that cycle is complete. A major life cycle is completed for you. And the kind of significance of that is, have a look at whatever these fears and doubts were before, they no longer exist. A lot of times we can follow dreams out of habit. We can want people out of habit. We react the same way in fearful ways or doubting things out of habit. But that cycle's gone now. You're a brand new person. You're a king. You're a king. You've reached the pinnacle of that. It's time to go forward into a brand new cycle, right? One with love and fulfillment and emotional fulfillment with this coming up. So with the world, it's transitional. And I feel like you've been going through this a while. So if you've been feeling stuck, it's because you're kind of stepping out of one world and you're getting ready to step into a new world. And yeah, it's okay if you don't know how that looks just yet, because you won't. You're still wrapping things up. There's still things concluding, ending, but energetically, that cycle is done. It would be great if the world, that energy ended tonight and we began something new tomorrow, but it very rarely goes like that. I've known people, and one of the most recent conversations I had, someone had been stuck in this energy for 3 years. So if you feel like I've been stuck in this place for a while, don't worry, that's ending. And that's what the beauty of the Fool here is, because this is the card that comes after the world, because it's a cycle, right? We go 21, last card of the major arcana, and then we start again at 0 with the Fool, and then number 1, the magician, number 2, the high priestess, 3, the empress, etc., etc. That's how we move forward. That's done. Something major is done, and you probably can feel that. In fact, I'm pretty certain whoever this message is for, at an emotional level, you've been done for a while. And I don't mean to say 8 of Cups. It's not that. It's you've worked through whatever was needed to work through, and you're ready for a new emotional experience. And yet to move forward, you want a new experience, right? You want something new. We have the Fool coming up as a future energy. So it requires a leap of faith. That's why it's so crucial that you know what's in your cup, how you feel. That your cup is overflowing with self-love, all of this beautiful stuff. Because when you take your cup out into the world, what are you going to encounter? You'll encounter the next step, which is the 2 of Cups. And that's when someone's cup matches your own. That's why it's so crucial to know what is in my cup. And you want a new experience, right? The Fool shows that. When a brand new cycle comes, with brand new experiences coming in. And that's why the Fool does not have a map. The Fool does not have a map. Because as human beings, the only maps that we have are the ones that show us where we have been. So if you want a new experience, you want new happiness, new love, all of this beautiful stuff, you want to feel a different way, we can't take those old maps with us. I often see the Fool. The Fool is very trusting, very happy, very excited, enthusiastic to go on this new trip. Because the Fool just wants new experiences. Doesn't care about what's going to happen, doesn't need guarantees, just wants to feel a different way. And I'm saying the feeling aspect more because of all this Cups energy that's coming up with this. There's been a shortage of Pentacles that have been coming up in all of the readings. And if you think about Pentacles, and that's very telling when there's not something when it's not there, when one of the elements is not there. It's very telling because Pentacles are to do with things that we can see, feel, and touch. But it's almost as if everyone's getting right or straight on how they feel, what they think. This is, very clear in where they are in themselves. Because that will dictate, or that will allow you to know what next step to take. So if you've been feeling stuck, that kind of freedom's coming in with the Fool. But once you acknowledge what this looks like, what this Ace of Cups looks like for you, because aces are always opportunities for new beginnings. But an opportunity or a doorway that gets presented to us, it means nothing unless we walk through it. And the crucial thing for you is to know how you feel, to know how you feel. And now, you know, when you say that to people, they'll tell you, I'm sick of this, or I'm tired of that. But that's the Eight of Swords energy, kind of. That's our fears and doubts coming in. There's hope with the Fool. There's trusting, there's knowing that when I go forward, I will have a new experience because I feel a new way. And it always starts off with us. First, the changes happen internally, then we see them reflected back to us externally. There is an opportunity, but it's a leap of faith. There won't be there's never any guarantees with the Fool. None whatsoever. And the Fool doesn't need them. Thank you so much to everyone that's been there with me. Whether this is the first video that you're ever watching of mine, or whether you've been there with me from before YouTube was even a thing in the Aquarian Insight world, because I've had my website for quite a few years now. Some of you followed me on there when that was all that I was doing. I'm so blessed that you guys are all a part of my journey, and totally and completely honored that you would make me and my messages a part of your journey. I never take that for granted. So I love you guys very much. I will see you next time, but that's all for now. Goodbye.